So the next question deals with a bit of humility. So I'm going to leave it open. We'll see who answers it. What is the worst decision you made in your career that you learned the most from?
I'll jump in. Go ahead, Donna.
Yes. Your answer is probably going to be much better because
No.
I'm going to put a twist on it. When it comes to decision making, and there are different levels, and I reflect on decisions that I've made in my current position as well as previous, and I always go between worse versus better. And what I believe is that we make a lot of decisions in our positions that the outcome sometimes may not be the most optimal. So it's almost as if, as an individual, you are almost looking back and you're learning from the decision-making process, as well as how you have actually potentially involved others within that process. And you're looking at ways of tweaking how you may arrive at that particular decision or to enhance. So it's a learning experience, and it's evolving, not to just select one isolated incident to say that this is the worst decision that I've made in my life, but it's looking at the amalgamation of decisions that you are making and really learning from those decisions as well as the outcomes from my perspective.
I think we're going to stay here on this question.
Okay, very good. I'm happy to chime in. I can't think of a worse. I think of many decisions I've made that I've learned from. And that's why I don't think of them as the worst ones. In that moment, I remember being a young lawyer and standing up in my first trial and making an objection to the entry of a document and evidence. I still remember that. I've been practicing over 20 years now because I was flat out wrong. And my application, the other attorney was trying to lay the foundation for the entry of this document into evidence. The witness was not the author, which I learned that day is not required by the rules of evidence. So I objected and said, I object because this witness did not author this document. And the judge looked at me and just sat there for a moment. And I'm looking like I'm waiting on an answer. And she politely instructed me, "Counselor, that is not required by the rules." Well, thank you, Judge. Took that lump and had a seat. I think of another time. This particular judge was a mentor and friend. My mother worked in maintenance for 40 years and cleaned the courthouse. And one day, I practiced in it. But she literally went before me because she knew every bailiff, every judge, everybody. And she really paved the way for me, even though her work had literally nothing to do substantively with the law. I appeared before Judge Jones and was making an argument about whether a certain conviction went to truth or veracity. And he began smiling, which I knew I was done at that moment. He's a very humble man and very gracious. And he just smiled as I'm still arguing my point, and I know I need to stop. And he said, "Thank you for that. It's noted for the record, you are overruled." And I said, "Thank you," and sat down. I sat down and said, "Thank you," like that was the result I was expecting. So I've had many. I could go on and on about them. Most of all, I learned from them. And these are rules you never forget. Don't worry about were you embarrassed in that moment. I remember one time someone chasing me down on my way to court. I was a young lawyer then too. I didn't find a particular statute to demonstrate that someone had been served properly for an emancipation of a minor. I mean, I can go on and on. She saved my tail, so I actually didn't get to go into court and humiliate myself that day. She saved me out on the courthouse steps. But most of all, learned from them. And to this day, what did I learn from that? I learned to make sure I knew my stuff. Now, I'm not going to freelance. Anne's work right now, it's phenomenal work and it's exciting work. I'm not going to freelance about the technical aspects of bringing solar to the grid. There are a million people that can do that, and Ann and her team can do that well. But that I do, I will do better than a lot of you, with all due respect. Because I will work harder, I will prepare while you're sleeping, I'm reading. And that's what I've taken from all of those many, many failures, David.
So I will share one of my experiences, a different experience, but one I think shares one of the lessons learned from yours, Commissioner Honorable. And I share this primarily for the benefit of those of you who may be starting out in your careers. When I was a young attorney, I was assigned to work on a project. I was in private practice for a leader who had a reputation as being a bit abusive and vindictive. And I will tell you that reputation was well earned. So I spent about a year working on projects for this person. And wasn't always treated respectfully. And I reached out to other people, I reached out to mentors, and I know that there were people watching out for my best interests. In retrospect, I wish I had pushed back more directly against this person. But I was the young person, I was the junior person, and I saw that this leader treated everyone around her that way and there were no consequences. So I didn't push back directly. So that's something I wish I had done. That's a lesson that I learned, is that regardless of your title, your position, your years of experience, you have influence and you have the ability to stand up for what you believe in. And I think that's powerful for those around you. And it's something that I would encourage people to do. And the other lesson that I learned from that same experience is that even when you encounter adversity in the workplace, you can position yourself to gain some benefit from it. And so in my case, I observed the ways in which this particular leader was actually very effective, and I observed them, I modeled those positive attributes, and I gained new skills. So at the end of the experience, I had a thicker skin, I learned how not to lead, and also developed some skills that helped later on in my career.
Donna, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You make us proud. You're great role models, and we love you. Thank you.